Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, welcome, and if you guys have already been subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. Today is one of the most fun videos because today we're going to talk about eyeshadow palettes. And if you guys know me, or if you guys do not know me, you should know that I am a fanatic of eyeshadow and blushes, and today it's eyeshadows. So today's topic of the video is what are some of my old products that are still worth picking up. And I have a few palettes in my collection which are discontinued or which were limited editions. So if you can find them in a discount or anywhere, even if it is not on discount, I think it's definitely worth the money. So without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So the first palette that I have to talk about is Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. If you guys don't know, this was my #1 palette for 2020. I think this is the best palette that Too Faced has ever released. And I don't know, there were so many mixed feelings about this palette, but I absolutely love this palette. I love that there's a variety in the shimmers. There are some smooth shimmers, there are some gritty shimmers, but that translates like beautifully on the eyes and gives so much more dimension. The mattes are amazing and blendable. I love everything about this palette, and I still go into this palette and create some beautiful looks, which I am like amazed out of. So this would be my first palette in my recommendations. The second palette, I don't even know why this is discontinued. I really don't know, because I love this so much, and this is Dose of Color's Friendcation palette. You guys have heard me rave about this palette so many times. This is definitely, or this was definitely one of my favorite neutral palettes to test out. This is so up my alley. I really love this palette. Whenever I'm going for a glam look to any party or anything, yeah, we're not going to party anymore, but if I want to look like glam or anything, this is the first palette that pops into my mind. And I love the mattes, the shimmers, everything is so beautifully curated in this palette. Definitely one of the best collaboration palettes, at least in my opinion, I would say. Dose of Colors, if you are listening to me, please get the Friendcation palette back. I would love that. So that was my second recommendation. Now, one brand that I am going to recommend, and I know that you guys know that I'm going to say about this palette, so let's just move that out of the way, and that is my Jackie Aina palette from ABH. I don't know, where is Anastasia? What is she doing? But she's not releasing any more palettes anymore. That's how I feel. But this was their best Anastasia palette that they've ever released. I have 2 more in my collection, which I am going to talk about in this video. I think those are the best Anastasia palettes which have been discontinued. I just don't know why. I feel the best ones are going away and the crappy ones are still there. You know, that's just my opinion, and that's how I feel. But this truly is my best friend. I mean, I love every shade in this palette. If I am going for that fun, you know, interesting look, and I want to just be creative, and I just want to create something out of the box, I just dip into this palette. I really love layering these shades together. And so even in the Dose of Color's Friendcation palette, I would say, you can layer these shimmers and get like totally different shades altogether. I have actually mentioned in a few videos of mine, let's say if you take this and you take this blue, so when you layer this, so let's say this red, and then when you layer this blue on top of that, you just get the amazing purple shade. I mean, it's so beautiful. Why Dose of Colors? Just get it back. I mean, yeah, let everybody enjoy it. Okay, let's go back to the Anastasia palette. You guys know how I feel and how emotional I am about my palettes. So that's going to translate in this video. There's no surprise in that. Let's talk about this palette. I have created some beautiful looks in this palette. I have also, if you do have this palette, you guys know about this palette. I mean, just tell me, do you agree with me? I feel this is the best palette that Anastasia has come out with. I love these like duochrome shade. I love this, the taupey gray shade. This topper shade is amazing. It looks like dirty in the pan. That's just because I use it with everything and anything. This Zam shade, I do not have any words. This is so beautiful. Yeah, I just don't know. The second Anastasia palette that I have to talk about that they have again discontinued is the Sultry Palette. Now, guys, if you love cool tones, just tell Anastasia to get this in the permanent line. I don't know why doesn't she have this in the permanent line, because this is such a unique palette in their whole line. The only thing that pops into my mind why this is discontinued is just because maybe they're coming out with another cool tone palette. That can only be the reason that this is discontinued. I mean, this is a favorite of so many people and is mine too. And I am not even that cool tone person. But I love these tones when it is applied on the eyes. I'll pop a picture on the screen using these palettes if you have not seen me use this before, but I have probably reviewed all these palettes on my channel. So I will link it in the iCards above or in the description below. Do check this out. But yes, I'm very, very sad about this palette. Good that they bought it back in the holiday season, because that's when I picked this up. And I'm glad that I picked this up. I mean, otherwise I would have just missed out on it. That's how I feel, really. Now, the third Anastasia palette, which came in 2020 and did not get that much buzz around, is the Umbreezy palette. I can understand if you guys have the Soft Glam palette, the Modern Renaissance palette and the Norvina palette already in the collection, then you do not need it. But if you don't have those tones and if you do like this color story, this is an amazing palette. The only shade I've also mentioned prior, and sorry for repeating again, but the only shade I think that I'm not going to get so much use out of is this blue shade, which is called Leo. But otherwise, everything else is absolutely stunning and beautiful. You definitely do need this. If you can find it on sale, just definitely snag it. That's how I snagged it, mine on like a Sephora sale. That's when I got mine. And most of these are on sale, but even if it is not, so much worth the money. That's how I really feel about it. Now, the next palette that I have to talk about is my Mothership palette. Now, I was eyeing this palette for 2 years straight, and this palette kept my excitement level still on. That's how I really want to feel about a palette when I open the palette. I don't want to just use it once or twice and then forget about it. If this keeps me on my toes and I always think about it when I'm applying eyeshadow, then yes, it's totally worth your money. And this is the Mothership 5 palette, and this is the Bronze Seduction palette. By no means is this a new palette. Again, I was eyeing this for 2 years and I got it very, very recently. But yes, this is what I have as my topper shade. This white shade, I mean, look at that. It's just stunning. These shades are like magical. Can you see that? I cannot even. I just cannot even. That just screams Smithy to me. I feel like Mother made that palette for me. That's how I feel. I mean, I can put that on my whole body and be very happy about it. But yes, that is my Pat McGrath palette that I really want you guys to pick up if you can snag it on a discount. And if you are eyeing on any Pat McGrath palette, wait for her 30% discount. She definitely puts at least twice a year on her website. Wait for that discount and then snag it, because I know these babies are costly. Snag it at a discounted price. You'll never be disappointed about it. The next palette, I do not even know why did I not pick it from the time it was announced. Because I was eyeing it, I was drooling about it, I was so in love with it, and I just got it recently from my friend, and I am in love with this palette. And I'm talking about my Sigma's Cordurosa palette. Look at this baby. She's so pigmented, she's glam, she's soft, she's elegant. Everything that you can like dream about a palette is there. If you like those burgundy peachy tones, this is absolutely wonderful. Now, if you do not want to snag it at a very high price range, a good dupe for this would be the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. Very, very close dupe, I would say. But Sigma's quality is just unlike other. I absolutely love this palette. And I'm glad that it is in my possession now. I just cannot wait to use this. It's hardly been a month that I got this palette, and I have used it at least 6 times. And I have so many palettes, so that's saying something. I absolutely love this. If you guys can pick it up, and if you guys love this color story, you should definitely check this palette out. The next palette also I picked up so late. I was so late in the game, and that's my Colourpop's Going Coconut palette. It's been so many years that this has been released, and I think I bought this on the last Cyber Monday sale. I think that's when I bought it, and this is like my go-to palette now. I just use this so many times. This shimmer in the middle it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. These shades definitely do transfer on my medium skin tones. That was my main concern, but this proved me wrong. This just looks absolutely stunning in my opinion on the eyes. So if you are on a light and a medium skin tone, I think you would not be disappointed. You will absolutely love this. So this is the palette that I snagged like so many years later, and I'm still excited about it. Now the next palette, again, a brand that I've been eyeing for so long, and when I tried it, I knew what was the hype about, and that is Nabla Cosmetics. And this is the Secret palette. I love the variety that they have put in this palette. I was not even a color girl. I mean, I never used to put like colors on my eyes. I was a very neutral girl. But this, although it's like a colorful palette, but it is so muted and it just gives so much dimension on the eyes when you put it, and the quality. I mean, you have to swatch a Nabla palette to know what the quality is. It's silky, it's creamy, it's so blendable, it's so beautiful when you apply it on your eyes. You will not be disappointed with any Nabla palettes, I would think, because the formulation is just amazing. It's just spectacular when you put it on your eyes. You will know the dimension. This shade, Play Hard, which looks like white. Look at that. It's just stunning. It's just stunning. I just love this palette. I've done a look reviewing this palette, and this was love at first sight. I just love that. Now, a palette that I still have to play with, but I was so interested in picking out even after so many years. This is the palette that like popped this idea in my mind that I should do like old palettes that are still interesting me, that are still like wowing me. I don't know, for some reason or the other, these are some interesting, some beautiful palettes to test out. And this one is Colourpop's So Jaded palette. Now this, I didn't know whether I needed it or not. I'll be very honest. I love Kathleen, but I seriously did not know whether I need it or not, because it's a colorful palette and I was not into colors so much. But this is so beautiful. You need to see it to understand it. Now, I picked it up on, I think there was a deal going for just a few hours on Colourpop when their big palettes were like 30% off. And that's when I snagged this, knowing whether I would use it or not, I don't know. You know, that's how I really feel about the palette, because I really don't know whether I'm going to use those colors on my eyes or not. But this kept me interested, and when I swatched this baby, I'll put the swatches on the screen. I'm definitely going to do so many looks out of this. I do not even doubt. I mean, I love this baby so much. The only thing is it has like 2 topper shades, like pressed glitter shades, which I don't know. This is beautiful. It's a Super Shock shadow, very close dupe of Ritz from Colourpop, which is my absolute favorite single shadow. But yes, these jewel tones look beautiful on brown eyes. So I think this is an absolute beautiful decision to pick this up. I also have picked up a few BH Cosmetics palette, because believe it or not, I think the only BH Cosmetics palette that I have is the old Carly Bible palette, and I loved that. But then they did not spark the interest in me, and I have ordered quite a few palettes. So a giveaway might be coming pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. The last palette that I have to talk about is also a gift to me, and I'm so happy. This is the palette that kept me on my toes. I always wanted to buy this. Whenever I visited the website, this palette was out of stock, because as soon as it is restocked, Within 2 minutes, this goes away. And I'm so glad that I got it. And this is from Sydney Grace, and this is the Tiny Marvels palette. This is the palette that I have all over my eyes, and I am so happy with this palette. She is beautiful. This is like a perfect summer palette in my opinion. Even autumn, even spring, all year round. This is gorgeous. The quality is amazing, and this has knocked my socks off. I absolutely love the formula, and if you can grab this palette, I mean at any price, this would be amazing. This has some amazing quality in my opinion, and those were my few palettes that I really think that even if you buy at this date, even if they are old palettes, that would fill the void in your collection. That's how I feel about this palette. If I could get rid of all the other palettes and I just keep these palettes, I would be happy. I would absolutely be happy. So these were the palettes that I was eyeing for a long time, and I got it in my possession after so many years just because these palettes were interesting to me. And I have to mention 2 more palettes which I do not have in my collection, but I might still get it even if they are the old palettes. One is the Nabla Wildberry palette. I will buy that. The second palette that I might buy is the Natasha Denona Mini Glam palette. That palette speaks to me unlike any other palette. Yeah, that would be absolute dream to get that. I think I can get and create so many looks out of that palette, and I will never be disappointed in that palette. So that's all for today. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did like it, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification to get notified whenever I post next. I generally upload every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!